Hey, what's going on, guys? Matt here. In today's video, I've got something very different for you. If you're familiar with my channel, you know most of my stuff is drum stuff and some guitar stuff. But today I'm going to be talking about this Sharp Guided Sharpening system. I got this, let's see, today's Saturday. I got it on Thursday, and I've been playing with it. And I'm very pleased so far. I've sharpened some of my kitchen knives, and I've been working on some of my pocket knives, and I'm very pleased, like I said. But let me just say, it comes in this pretty cool little box here, and the box is actually a storage box. It says reuse this box as a storage tray, and it works really well. You know, the platform sits right down in here, the ceramic hone sits right in there, and you can store your little diamond stones up there. Okay, so it's kind of cool that they give you this, you know, little box to use as a storage tray. And they also send you this this great little chart here. So no matter what kind of knife you have, it's going to tell you step by step how to achieve a super sharp edge. And this upgrade kit down here, that should be arriving sometime today. This has 2 extra stones with it, an extra coarse and an extra fine, and it also has a leather strop with some polishing compound, you know, that they give you to really get a good edge on your blade. So that's you know, it's not a must-have, but I think it's nice to have. Okay, like I said, I should be getting this today. Can't wait to try this out. But just the base unit is very good. Okay, what I've done so far with some of my knives, especially the kitchen knives, very, very sharp. And I still have some practice to do on this thing, because I'm not a professional knife sharpener by any means. And yeah, so this is super handy. You know, the instructions are very, very well, you know, laid out. But the sharpening system itself, it's, you know, it's not very big. The sharpening stones are only about 6 inches long. Okay, so this thing is, it's pretty compact. And the reason why they call it a guided system is because he's got these little guides here, these angled guides, 17 degree and 20 degree. So, you know, 17 degree for your kitchen knives, and then 20 degree for your pocket knives and outdoor knives. And they just, there's a little bar there that sits in up top, and then it just, it clicks in with a magnet. Okay, so they're very stable. And the unit itself, it's got some nice rubber feet on the bottom, you know, so it's pretty stable. I mean, you could make it move, but you know, when you're sharpening, it doesn't move at all. Okay. Now the base unit comes with 2 stones. It comes with a coarse, and it comes with a fine. All right. It's like a 320 grit and a 600 grit, I believe. Okay. But the cool thing about this system is it has this little pivot function. Okay, see how the base rocks? So when you have your stone on there, and the stones are held in by a magnet, okay, that's a little magnet right there, and they have this little cutout right there, which is nice. So when this is in, you can get your finger up under there and pop the thing off. Okay, it's got 2 little pins here, little alignment pins that just help you line up the blade. And these things are actually recessed. Okay, those pins don't stick out from the stone. Okay, it's totally flat across the top. All right. But the pivoting function is really, really cool. So if you're sharpening a blade that has a curve on it, as you go down the stone, it's going to pivot when you get to the curve. Okay, see the pivot? So the blade edge is always in contact with the stone. Okay, it's a very nice feature. And if you're sharpening a straight blade that does not have a curve, they recommend locking the base, and you do that just by pushing this little bottom rail forward. Okay, that slides back and forth. If you push it forward, then that locks the base. Okay, so it doesn't pivot anymore. So if you're sharpening a straight blade, you can just go straight across with it. Okay, you know, but to sharpen a knife, you choose your angle, whether it's, like I said, a kitchen knife, a 17 degree, or an outdoor or a pocket knife. You slap the 20 degree one on there, And this knife is already sort of sharp. I have a little piece of paper that I've been playing with this knife with. And as you see, at first, it was just tearing the paper. Okay, it wasn't very sharp. Just tearing it. But I put the fine grit on because it was already sort of sharp. Okay, if you're like doing a total, starting from fresh with a really, really dull knife, they recommend starting with a coarse stone first. But since this knife already had sort of an edge, not enough to cut paper, but it did have a decent edge, I just went with the fine stone. And what you do is you find your angle using the guide there, the little angle guide. Okay, that just sets your initial angle, but then it's up to you to maintain that angle throughout your stroke. Okay, here, let me unlock it since I got a curved blade on here. Okay, so there's my angle. Okay, and it sort of helps to use two hands to sort of maintain that angle. Okay, see the pivot? And they also recommend that as you go down, just go across, let it pivot, but don't pull the blade off the edge. Okay, just stop right before you get to the end. Okay, because it's the blade is in contact with the stone the whole way. Okay, thanks to that pivot function. Just go all the way down and stop about, just before you get to the edge. Okay, so you just do that. They recommend about 10 to 15 strokes on the fine if you're doing just a resharpen. Okay, and I've already been doing this. This blade is getting sharper and sharper. As you can see, I made a couple of passes that actually cut the paper as opposed to the initial that it was just tearing. Okay, now it's starting to cut. I'm going to hit this a few more times. Here, I won't use two hands this time so you can see the pivot. Okay, see the pivot? And I'm stopping just before I get to the edge. Okay, I'm not pulling the blade off the stone. And that is so you don't risk damaging your point. Okay, so the point doesn't get rounded. Yeah, the pivot function's great. And see, I'm not holding on to the base at all. Those rubber feet really keep the thing still. And this is just a plain old wood desk, nothing fancy. But the rubber feet do work well. Okay, let's see if this thing will slice. Yeah, see, now it's cutting through the paper. Okay, it's not tearing it. So it's doing well. I'd say that's pretty sharp. Maybe not razor sharp, but it cut through the paper very cleanly. Okay, so that's just a regular old pocket knife. This is a custom-made knife from a family friend. He builds knives, and this is one that he did a long time ago. This is an old knife, but it's a beautiful knife. I think he did a great job with it. So that's that. Yeah, so that's, after a few passes on the fine, it does great. Okay. Something else that they include with this base unit is a ceramic hone. And you probably won't be able to see this with the light, but the little thing, it rotates. Now this thing will get dirty, just so you know. But it has, so I can get it close if it'll focus. It's got a coarse side. It's got little grooves in it, so that's your coarse side. If you roll it around, you got a side with no grooves at all. So that's a fine setting. And then it has one side that has just 2 grooves for sharpening fish hooks. Okay. So you can, further fine-tune your blade with a ceramic hone if you want to. Then on the bottom, it has 2 little short rails for doing serrated knives. Okay. If you have a serrated knife, you just find the find the rail that matches up to your serration, and you just go back and forth on the serration on these little short rails. All right, it's a great little thing to have, and this thing is super compact. If you want to take this with you, if you're going on a hiking trip or something, or hunting trip, and you just want a little field sharpener, this thing would do well. Okay, and even the base unit, it's not heavy at all. It doesn't weigh much. You could throw this in your backpack, or you could just throw this in your backpack. You know, these little sharpening stones aren't going to fall off. If you just want to take this, you could use this freehand, and you can sharpen your blades this way. Another thing that's kind of cool with this, since it has this cool little handle, it's got these little grippies here where it says work sharp. You can kind of see there's like a little texture there. You can really hold on to it. If you want to sharpen an axe, you know, you can do this, put on a coarse blade, and you can sharpen an axe with it. Okay, so it's a very handy little thing. You know, but as you see, you know, just with a few passes on the fine, it cut through paper very well. Okay, and again, my initial, you know, with this same knife, it was just tearing. You know, it wouldn't even cut. So, yeah. Since we're on the subject of knives, though, I have this very, very old pocket knife. And if there's any knife people out there watching, which I hope there are, I doubt you can read that. It says Frontier. And there's a tiny little symbol there. I cannot tell what that's supposed to be. But there's nothing written on any of the blades. Well, something very fine right there, but you can't read it. Okay, these blades are very dirty. This is a very, very old knife. So if anyone has any ideas on how to polish these blades, I've tried fine steel wool. I've tried a Dremel with a buffing tool. I actually used a Dremel with a little wire brush, a little flat wire brush that I stuck down in a channel, and it cleaned that up very nicely. Okay, and I sort of buffed out the, you know, the actual, you know, whatever this is made of. I couldn't tell you. But these little, you know, shiny bits here on the end, I was able to polish those up a little bit better. But these blades are so grimy. So if anyone has any ideas on how to get this off, please, you know, just let me know, because I'd really like to get this thing cleaned up, because I don't plan on selling it. You know, a lot of people will say it's an old knife, you know, don't clean it. Well, I kind of want to clean it, just you know, just because it's mine. I want it to look a little nicer. So yeah. Yeah, but if anybody recognizes this, or if I can get this clean, maybe I can figure out what that is. You know, right there. So, but yeah, it just says Frontier right there. Very small letters. I doubt you can even see that. Okay. But since we're on the subject of this knife, let me see. Let me just pick a blade that's really. Let me just start with this. The largest of the three, and just try to sharpen it, just to see what happens here live. Well, not live when you watch it, but it's live right now, you know, filming. So this has no edge on it whatsoever. This is very, very dull. So I'm going to put the coarse plate on, and I'm going to lock it too, because this is a straight blade. Okay, there's no curve whatsoever. And according to the directions, if you're doing like a first sharpen on an old funky blade, that you just run it with the coarse as many times as it takes to get a burr on the opposite side. And I could be here all day doing this. I don't know. Oops, here, let me close this, because this is spinning and it just jabbed me in the arm. Close that one. So let me just take a few passes with this thing. I don't want to bore you guys to death sitting here watching me do this. You know, but I'm maintaining that angle, this little 20-degree angle. Even though the blade is so little, it kind of steps off. You know, larger blades will sit on the guide and the stone at the same time. This blade is so little, so I'm having to just sort of guesstimate and just maintain that angle. Okay. And there's definitely an art to sharpening knives by hand, but these guides certainly help you for people like me who don't do this for a living or don't have a whole lot of experience sharpening knives. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little rough there on the opposite side, so let me go back on this side again. And notice I'm not running it off the side, just so I don't really, I mean the tip's already kind of damaged, but I don't want to damage it even more. Okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit on the other side now. So let me go to the fine. Okay, it says once you've got a burr on each side, once you get one on the other side, go to the other side on the coarse until you get a burr on the opposite side of that one. Okay, so each time get a burr. And then switch to the fine. Now I'm going to just hit this thing until, well, actually the directions say 10 times. I don't know if you have to do it 10, if it makes a big difference or not. But let's do 10. So that was 2. That's 3. 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now we'll do the other side. So that's my angle, approximately, roughly, because, you know, like I said, the blade is so little. By the time you get here, it has already stepped off. Okay. So let me just guesstimate. Oops. 7, 8, 9, and 10. Alright, it's sharper than it was. It's a whole lot sharper than it was. I doubt it's going to cut through paper at this point. Well, not bad. Not bad for an old funky knife. That was, well, I don't know how long that was. It wasn't very long, just a couple of minutes. It's cutting paper. So yeah, that's it's a pretty good indicator that this thing does what it says it's, you know, supposed to do. Okay. I mean, even though you're not here with me, I can tell you this thing was dull as can be when I first started. You know, so going coarse first till you get a burr on each side, and then hit it with the fine blade, you know, 10 times each, and as you see, it cut through fairly cleanly. Okay. But yeah, so there you go. The thing works. But once again, if there's any knife guys out there that really know a lot about knives, please, if you do recognize that, please tell me what this knife is and how to clean these blades. If you guys have any tricks on cleaning blades. But there is something right there. I'm not really, here, let me use my phone as a flashlight. Unfortunately, my office is kind of dark. So let me use this here. If y'all can make out what that is, because it's very dirty, very hard to read, you know, but it does say Frontier right there. I don't know if you recognize the little symbol right there. Okay, but that's very grimy. So yeah, if you guys have any ideas as to what that is, please let me know, because it's kind of a cool little knife, you know, and it is very little. You know, little is an understatement. I mean, I've got fairly big hands, but this knife is very small, but it's kind of cool, and it's very old. I've had it for as long as I can remember, so it's over 40 years old. Okay, but yeah, so there you go. Just want to do a quick little demo on the work sharp. Yeah, work sharp. The guided sharpening system. I'm very pleased with it. And like I said, I've got the upgrade kit supposed to arrive sometime today. I cannot wait to try that out, to really fine tune a blade to make it razor sharp. Okay. But oops. But thanks so much for watching. I know this is not really my thing as far as YouTube videos, but I wanted to throw this out there because I have been very pleased with this. I've enjoyed using it, and yeah, the thing does work. So yeah, if you have any questions, fire away in the comment box. I'll be happy to answer. But thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.